Guess who finally saw Dark of the Moon this weekend? So I'm going to pretend I'm a movie critic for a minute and tell you what I thought about absolutely every aspect of the movie, if that's okay. By now we sort of know what to expect with the Transformers movies, and a lot of people will tell you you're stupid for enjoying them, but, you know, they're not masterpieces and they won't teach you anything. They're grand-scale action/disaster movies, and I enjoy those kind of movies, and I'm not ashamed of that. Guys, Dark of the Moon is premium quality action disaster nonsense. Like, immediately off the bat it tries to convince us that the space race was because of the Transformers, and Chernobyl was because of the Transformers, and, you know, that's sort of stupid and very bold, but I can get behind that. Because it's the third in the series, you sort of have to put it next to the other two, and it's immediately better. Because the other two are very much set up and pay off, you know, it drags on for hours about what's going to happen, and then it happens exactly as you're expected to. But this one at least tries to throw in a couple of plot twists, and for that, it's immediately better. The writing, you know, still isn't amazing, but it's improved. There's none of that bullcrap lowbrow humour, like, you know, people continually getting hit in the crotch and dogs humping. That's all but gone. Brilliant. And it doesn't drag anything like as much. It is a really, really long movie. It's like 2.5 hours. It is still mostly human scenes, but the balance between the humans and the robots is a lot better. They're always talking about the robots. At no point am I thinking, where's this going? You know what I'm like, I'm all fast talking and jump cuts, and there wasn't any point where I was bored. Sometimes you could really tell what was going to happen. It's like how long before the girl's car turns out to be a robot. And the movie just really benefits from having a couple of twists. Some of the scenes even have more than one reading, because you can look back and think, oh, maybe he was acting that way because he knew. I didn't read anything about the movie on purpose because I didn't want to ruin it for myself, but I didn't make the connection that it was based on a G1 episode. So, hold my hands up, bad fan, didn't know. But it figures, the plot that the bad guys come up with is so preposterous, it could only have come from an 80s cartoon. It still does that sort of annoying Michael Bay thing where, you know, there's a robot on the screen, he's like, and then something comes past and it just stops. And there's a lens flare and you can't see what's happening. There's still loads of that. But it's not as obnoxious. I got a bit sick of hearing the opening of that Linkin Park song, I gotta tell you. It's like you'll be watching a movie and then something slightly dramatic will happen and suddenly it'll get a little bit slow and it must have been 4 or 5 times. Product placement is unbelievable. You have to expect it from a movie that begins in association with Hasbro. But people are always like logging on to their Cisco internet. The characters for some reason are always talking about Twitter. And every time you watch the news it's always Fox News. Yeah, and the right wing, this gets a bit grating as well. Jesus. Optimus at one point says something like, "In the name of freedom, we will bring the fight to them." Alright then, Optimus W. Rumsfeld. There's one scene set at a place called Middle East Illegal Nuclear Site. I think I saw Bill O'Reilly in there as well, jeez. But you sort of expect that stuff. It's easy enough to block it out in favour of robots. Oh my god, let's talk about the action. The action scenes are many and frequent. The bit on the highway is totally exciting, particularly there's a bit where Bumblebee transforms mid-air and Sam's like, "Ugh!" And then, oh, my brain. I don't feel like I was waiting too long between the bits with the robots in. Obviously that's what you're going for, isn't it? And when they're on screen they're either fighting like demons or they're having important chats and doing plot stuff, not just like fighting on a dog. And they're always transforming. And seriously, the whole last hour of this movie is an action scene. And there's all kinds of different crap going on. There's robots everywhere, and there's a bit with the guys with the jumping out and the wingsuits, which is like sort of, you know, sort of exciting. But the bit on the skyscraper is epic, and there's this Shockwave's big Tremors worm thing. The CGI is excellent, 3D really works, and there's so much slow motion. At times it gets annoying, like, you know, apart from there being too much on screen, or you can't see Optimus's head when he's doing something important. Apart from the stylistic things, the one thing that annoyed me about the action was that almost every robot that got killed was shot at close range through the head and or the chest. Just a bit unimaginative, but still pretty top-notch. There are a lot of human characters in this movie, and they're all actually pretty strong. Like, there was nobody who didn't serve a purpose to the plot. Like, there was no Tom Banachek or the Hacker Kids, and there was no irritating douche like Leo. The one I was really expecting to have a problem with was Carly. Rosie, bless her heart, she's not an actress, just cast because she's cute. And her opening shot is just a close-up on her bum. And she was a bit flat, but she wasn't that bad. I didn't find her anything like as unlikable as Megan Fox. Always doing that thing. If anything, she was just funny because she was so much taller than Shia LaBeouf. And by this point, you know where you are with Shia LaBeouf. You either like him or you don't. While he does seem like a dick in real life, I like him in movies. It was sort of nice to see the two army guys showing up. I thought it was a good call to break them up, because, you know, last time around it was like, oh, these guys again. But this time I was like, oh, it's him, where's his mate? And then Epps shows up later and it's like, oh, there he is. You got Patrick Dempsey as the con sympathiser. That guy's really good at playing smarmy assholes. John Malkovich. He was probably the closest thing to a pointless character, but he was suitably ridiculous. And he's John Malkovich. Simmons. we love Simmons. Such a daft character. He's always a joy. John Turturro seems to like being him. He's just always brilliant. Could have done with a bit more Steve the Pirate though. He was ace. To be fair, the script was sketchy, so everybody sort of did their best with it. It was okay. Let's talk about robots. So there's loads of Optimus and he's wonderful as ever. We get to see him having a strop. There was a lot less Bumblebee than I was expecting. Bumblebee sort of had his moment. He was the main guy in the first one, so this time he's sort of pushed back a bit. And I think it did him good. It did me good, at least. Sideswipe gets a few scenes, Ratchet gets to join in a bit more, Wheelie's got a little mate now who's just as irritating as he is, Sentinel Prime looks incredible, Leonard Nimoy! No twins! I mean, I know nobody liked them, but they were in the last movie loads! At least Meg Fox was mentioned in passing. These guys are just gone. Where are they? Are they dead? Oh, Ironhide. As for the new fellas, I barely noticed the wreckers. And the other two fellas, the Benz and the Ferrari, were obviously just in the movie, so there could be a Benz and a Ferrari in the movie. I maybe would have given a crap about Q if his name was Wheeljack like it was supposed to be. And the other fella, he didn't do anything. His big moment was waving his two big arm-mounted blades at some baddies. Couldn't Sideswipe have done that? Decepticons. Well, you see, the big baddie turns out to be an Autobot, so there aren't many cons. There's like 5. You've got the throng of generics and all the spaceships, but they don't count. They're not characters. I don't like how the Decepticons are now just slobbering monsters with scary predator mouths. And they're always slobbering. Starscream in particular, always slobbering. I'm going back to the old, oh, it's not G1 thing a little bit, but they're not a credible threat anymore. They're just mindless beasties. You know, get you. However, how ace was it to see Megatron, Starscream and Soundwave hanging out being evil? Megatron's new look actually is really good. He's all rusty and like a desperado. And the truck, the truck is cool. Starscream goes out like a total pussy. Sam kills him. Laserbeak. Great. And there's Soundwave and Shockwave, and they're both, you know, quite good, but you barely see them. Particularly Shockwave, barely in the bloody thing. I was glad to see Barricade, even for a second I was glad to see Barricade showed up. I think I spotted Longhaul and Brawl getting murdered. So yeah, I enjoyed Dark of the Moon, of course I did. It is what it is, and what it is an action movie. An overblown but spectacular action movie. Chances are you've already made your mind up about it before I even started talking, but that's what I thought of it. I liked it. It were great. There needs to be a deluxe Soundwave. That needs to happen. Not bothered about the Ferrari or the Merc. Pretty sure we're getting a deluxe Leadfoot, that'd be great. There's one bad guy that keeps showing up here and there as well, like a really big fella with these big Cloverfield arms. He'd make a smashing Voyager. I expect there'll probably be another movie as well, seeing as this one made a bajillion dollars. I don't know where they're going to go with it, seeing as though they've killed off all the Decepticons and Cybertron. Who's going to be in it? I think I'll bust out some Dark of the Moon toy reviews very soon as well. Ryder Pathos and Java Jim have hooked me with some figures, and I am going to review the crap out of them. Smell you later.